Alright guys, this is the third video for the channel. Like, comment, subscribe, all those regular things that YouTubers say. I do appreciate it. My fourth video is actually going to be a subscriber challenge, giveaway, subscriber challenge type video. We're going to try to do it for 100 followers, so you'll see that in my next video. It's going to be a short one. Most of my deck techs are around 20 minutes long, so this one's going to be the same thing. I try to keep it under 20 minutes, which my first one I think was about 19, second one about 19. This one will probably be about the same, but the fourth video would just be a quick video for subscribers. A little giveaway, most likely. Just kind of an update on the channel, what I'm trying to do, my influences, who has influenced me to do this. So that'll be the fourth video, but for the purposes of this video, we're going to be looking at a deck I like to call Azorius Aggro. So it is blue-white, where our goal is to just drop a bunch of creatures down on the table and then use Afara God of Polis, the card drawing ability, to just restack our hand. We're using a couple flash creatures so we can flash them in on our opponent's turn, draw 2 cards for our turn, and then just really abuse the mechanic as well as possible. So it's a little bit unconventional. It would be considered budget. I try to do budget decks for people that are trying to get back into playing Magic, like myself, or some people that just don't have the budget. When I first started playing, I just didn't have the money set aside for playing Magic. Now I probably spend a little bit more money than I used to, but again, I do like to build decks that cost not as much money. My first video on my Simic ramp deck, that deck costs a lot more than the 2 decks following that video combined, but this one is an aggro Azorius. So we'll start off with the mana base. Actually running 10 basic planes. So do 10 basic planes. Show you guys a artwork there. We are doing 6 basic islands. You can see the artwork on those islands. You'll realize this once you watch a few of my videos. I am a sucker for good-looking foil lands. So you will see in most of my videos, my land base is meticulously selected. I like to have good-looking lands, mostly foil. This is a budget deck, so again, I'm just picking non-foil lands. There's a couple of foils thrown in there just that I had laying around, but okay, so now this is what separates a budget from a non-budget deck, the Azorius Guild Gates. So super budget option. It's a hallowed fountain that comes into play tapped. You have no choice. Comes into play tapped, adds blue or white. And then we are playing 1 Temple of Enlightenment, because it is actually the only one that I have. So we're playing 1 Temple of Enlightenment. Obviously, a play set of these would be cool, but it is a relatively expensive Scryland. It's actually the most expensive. It's almost as expensive as some of the Shocklands in the format now. So I only actually was able to get my hands on one of these so far. Probably get a couple more, add into this deck. But yeah, we're just running one of those. So we're actually 21 lands total. We don't really need that many in this deck. So 21 lands is actually fine. We're running a playset of Judge's Familiar, 1/1 flyer. You can actually sacrifice it and counter target instant or sorcery spell unless its controller pays 1. So rarely use that ability. Maybe just use it for certain spells that will just really disrupt the game. But a 1/1 flyer, turn 1 is really good. What I really like to do with this deck, this Flash Deputy of Acquittal. So if you guys don't know what this card does, it has Flash. You can cast it at any time. You can cast it instant. And when it enters the battlefield, you can return another target creature you control to its owner's hand. So you can use this as just a vanilla 2/2 on your opponent's turn, or if they target one of your creatures to destroy it, you can actually flash it in, return the creature to the hand, the spell fizzles, and next turn cast a creature again. So they're wasting cards, and you're getting your creatures back into your hand. It's really effective. It's actually probably an underrated card. I like it. It adds devotion to Afara's to try to turn on Afara's God ability. I really like this card. It's very versatile. We're running a playset of Daring Skyjack. So pretty cool card. 3/1 with a battalion trigger. When it attacks and at least 2 other creatures attack, it gets flying until end of turn. So if nothing else, it's a 3/1 body for 2, which is really what we're trying to do. We're trying to get in there for as much damage as possible as soon as possible. If you curve properly, I mean, Judge's Familiar into Deputy on your opponent's turn into Skyjack, you can really get there quickly. It's a really good card, especially for Battalion as far as evasiveness goes. You can get in there for 3 flying damage. Really good card. We're also looking at 3 Live Sky Knights. Enters the battlefield. It's a 3/1 flyer also. When it enters the battlefield, detain target non-land permanent an opponent controls. So detain means until your next turn, the permanent cannot attack or block, and activated abilities can't be activated. So you can actually play this for no value and target a land or something. But most of the time, you're doing it in order for you to set up attack on your opponent's next turn or something or on the current turn that you're on, to detain a creature from attacking or blocking to get in with the most amount of damage possible. So it also adds devotion, 1 white, 1 blue. So I'll talk about the Afara in just a minute. We're running 3 Daxos of, I don't know, Meletis. Daxos of Meletis, I guess. It's a legendary creature, so you can only have 1 in play at a time. It can't be blocked by creatures with power 3 or greater, so it's not going to be killed in combat often. When it deals combat damage to a player, exile a top card of that player's library, gain life equal to the card's converted mana cost. Until end of turn, you can cast this card, and you may spend mana as though it were mana of any color to cast it. So, pretty cool. Not as relevant in some other builds. It might be more relevant, but in our build, it's basically a 2/2 that will not often die in combat, and it gains you life when you attack. So I don't know. It's a pretty good card. It's got a lot of synergies. But again, I just like the devotion. 1 white, 1 blue for Afara. We chose 3 Banisher Priests, so this would obviously come out in a control matchup, but it's really good for aggro matchups. If you want to be able to get a god, something like a Nylea, God of the Hunt, if you can grab that from your opponent who's just turned Nylea on, I mean, it's a really, it's unbelievable, really. Exiling a creature an opponent controls until Banisher Priest leaves the battlefield. And again, 2 devotion right there, 2 white mana symbols, so more devotion. And then this is the engine of the deck. We're running 3 Afara, God of Polis. So as you can see, guys, there are only 3 rares up until this point. These cards right here, a little bit expensive, but this is pretty much the entire budget for the deck. I mean, all the cards that you've seen so far, you could probably pick up for less than $10. I would not be surprised. Afara is really good. The devotion of white and blue is less than 7. Afara is not a creature, so that's relevant because you can actually turn this card on effectively on turn 5. You can actually turn Afara on. You can turn her on at turn 4, but she won't be able to attack because you're dropping her on turn 4. But she can actually be active attacking on turn 5. As long as your devotion of white and blue is less than 7, Afara isn't a creature. So as long as you have 7 mana symbols of white and blue, which you see you're going to get from this here, Afara will turn into a creature. It's 6/5 indestructible creature at that. So the bottom ability is what we're using this card for. At the beginning of each upkeep, if you had another creature enter the battlefield under your control last turn, draw a card. So with the Deputy of Acquittals flash mechanic, you're actually going to be able to flash in Deputy on your opponent's turn, draw a card, and then draw your card for turn at the beginning of your upkeep. So you're actually getting card advantage that way. So even when you play a card on your turn and your opponent's upkeep, you're actually going to draw a card. So card advantage is huge in Standard right now. I think this card will go up in value post-rotation. but in this deck, it's really, really awesome. I'll just kind of set that up there. We're going to go into the spells. We are running quite a few spells in this deck, a couple planeswalkers, but it's mostly just to help us in combat. So, Brave the Elements, 4 of all of our creatures are white. If I don't know if you noticed, but every single creature that we actually have in this deck is white. So choose a color. White creatures you control gain protection from the chosen color until end of turn. So it's basically you can play this as a pre-combat. You can play it to kind of just power your creatures through, or you can do it after blockers are declared to see kind of what you can clear off their board. So it's a really, really versatile card, really, really good for any white deck should be running 4. If somebody says, how many Brave the Elements should I play in my white deck? You should say as many as possible, and that is 4. We have 4 Azorius Charm. This is a card, it's really good against aggro because you can actually give all your creatures lifelink until end of turn. I find myself cycling this more than usual. Just to draw a card. If you're flat on cards and you just need to get something into your hand, this card's good for that. Can actually put attacking or blocking creature on top of its owner's library, so it's relevant, but it's less relevant because we're not really playing a control deck. We are running 2 Spirit of Heliod to buff our creatures up. All your creatures get +1/+1. The ability on the bottom of the card, not that relevant, but it could be relevant. It's basically just an anthem for your creatures. +1/+1. 2 Ajani Caller of the Pride. So it's a 3 cost for 4 loyalty, which is really good stats. Put a 1/1 counter on up to 1 target creature. -3 target creature gains flying and double strike until end of turn. So that's actually has a little bit of synergy with Daxos. So if you give Daxos flying and double strike, you can actually use its ability twice. It's really, really cool. We are running 2 Detention Spheres. You guys should know what this card does. Really, really blowout card for some decks. Just very versatile. And then we are running a 1 of Jace Architect of Thought. So if all else fails, use the Jace plan. Card advantage, the ultimate really never get to that point, but the ultimate ability is just really silly. But Jace is just really, really good for combat. Plussing Jace is great against other aggro matchups. And then the -2 just gives you cards. I mean, you want to be drawing as many cards as possible to get all your relevant spells into your hand. So 1 of Jace, probably cuttable, but I really, really like that card. I mean, it's just a really great Magic card. All right, I actually am done with this video. We don't have a sideboard yet. Just something that I threw together recently. Obvious sideboard cards: Dissolve, Gainsay, maybe a 3rd copy of a Johnny, maybe a 3rd copy of Spear, 2 additional Detention Spheres, just things that I would throw in a sideboard. As far as, I mean, I wouldn't really put anything else exciting in the sideboard. Maybe a couple Pithing Needles. But yeah, this is pretty much, I figured a sideboard for this deck should, you don't really want a sideboard. I mean, it's pretty much basically it's all laid out in front of you. I mean, you guys see what you want to do. Turn 1, Judge's Familiar. Turn 2, Skyjack or something. And turn 3, you want to just curve out really well. And just get in there for as much as possible. So, guys, I hope you like this video. This is Azorius Aggro. Probably not a real archetype, but maybe it will be. Really, really fun deck to play. So, stay tuned. 4th video is going to be a subscriber-based video. It's going to be for my first giveaway, and also it's going to update you on kind of why I started doing this and my influences, my positive influences. I'll tell you guys a little bit about the metagame at my local card shop and things like that. So leave me a like, comment, subscribe, do all of those regular YouTube things. And I'll actually tell you guys a little bit about this playmat. This playmat I've had for a long, long time. So really awesome playmat that actually my girlfriend drew for me. Everyone always tells me you're missing the Mox Pearl. Yeah, well, they don't sell white colored markers. So um, anyway, let's wrap this video up, and you guys will stay tuned for the fourth video, subscriber based video. All right, thanks for watching.